Hi! Welcome back to Truth Fairy Tidbits. I am the Truth Fairy, and I am here to feed you little tidbits of information that you otherwise probably wouldn't look at if you are still of the statist mindset. That meaning that you still believe in government and voting and nonsense like that. If you have not been here before, go back and start from the beginning of my videos so that any of this will make sense to you. And if you enjoy these videos, please, or even if you don't, like and subscribe and all of that fun stuff that I'm supposed to say to do on the YouTubes. Okay, so getting back into this, this little section is going to be talking about debt and how government debt created in our name is invalid. Just like everything else the government does is illegitimate and immoral. So yeah, we're going to get into that. If you want to know what this shirt means, it's the Jones Plantation flag, and the Jones Plantation is a film project that I donated to, and I highly suggest you watch it because it explains a lot of what I'm already been talking about really well in a movie format, and I'm pretty sure it's on Amazon Prime. Jones Plantation movie or film, something like that. Okay, actually another good film, if you're interested, is called Barnum World. That's another project that I was a part of, happily to donate to. That one's a mockumentary, and it's really funny, and it's really good. Barnum World, I'm not sure where to watch that one, but if you can Google it and find it, it's really good. So both of those films go along with everything I'm trying to explain to break down your programming of statism and whatnot. So, getting into this. The next section of how things are illegitimate that government does is debt. Debts contracted in the name of the United States or of the people of the United States are of no validity. It is utterly absurd to pretend that debts in the amount of millions of dollars, well, gajillions of dollars now, are binding upon 35 or 40 millions of people when there is not an article of legitimate evidence such as would be required to prove a private debt that can be produced, again with the frog, good Lord, man, sneaky bastard. There's not a particle of legitimate evidence such as would be required to prove a private debt that can be produced against any one of them that either he or his properly authorized attorney ever contracted to pay 1 cent. Certainly, neither the whole people of the United States or any number of them ever separately or individually contracted to pay a cent of these debts. How then is it possible on any general principle of law or reason that debts that are binding upon nobody individually can be binding upon millions of people collectively when these millions of people have nor ever had any corporate property, never made any corporate or individual contract, and neither have nor had any corporate existence? Who then created these debts in the name of the United States? At most, only a few persons calling themselves members of Congress, etc., who pretended to represent the people of the United States, but who really represented only a secret band of robbers and murderers who intended to extort from the future people of the United States by robbery and threats of murder the means to pay these debts. Excuse me. So he keeps saying band of robbers and murderers. By that, he means the group calling themselves government, and also those of you who vote for the group of robbers and murderers. Y'all included in there. The money, therefore, was borrowed and lent in the dark by men who did not see each other's faces or know each other's names, who could not then and cannot now identify each other as principals in the transaction, and who consequently can prove no contract with each other. Furthermore, this secret band of robbers and murderers, who were the real borrowers of this money, have no legitimate corporate existence, have no corporate property with which to pay these debts. They do indeed pretend to own large tracts of wildlands lying between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans and between the Gulf of Mexico and the North Pole, but they might as well pretend to own the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans themselves, or the atmosphere and the sunlight. Basically, these days the government does pretend to own the atmosphere and the sunlight. We'll get into the atmosphere stuff later. This secret band of robbers and murderers are really bankrupt. They have nothing to pay with. In fact, they do not propose to pay these debts otherwise than from the proceeds of their future robberies and murders. In fact, these apparently two classes, borrowers and lenders, are really one and the same class. Finally, if these debts had been created for the most innocent and honest purposes by the real parties to the contracts, these parties could thereby have bound nobody but themselves and no property but their own. They could have bound nobody that should have come after them and no property subsequently created by or belonging to other persons. Okay, pretty simple point. These governments borrow money from equally evil, sick bastards to fund their further robbing and murdering of us and other people in other countries. So it's pretty clear that there's in no way making these debts binding upon any of us. We didn't contract to borrow any money. And the government doesn't own anything, okay? Everything they have is stolen from us. So when they borrow money, they have nothing to they have no property, really, they claim to. They're claiming our property. They get lent money based on the future generation tax producers. That's how they fund everything, because we keep obeying this illegitimate entity called government, and we keep paying taxes to them, and really they're just stealing our shit and using us as leverage for all the future bullshit that they're going to do. Again, government is bullshit, and Constitution means nothing, and taxes are theft, and all government is a theft-funded ruling class. Period, the end. We'll continue on. The next section will be fun. So we'll leave it there for today, and as always, do not comply. Bye.